Eagle Mindset. Introduction. The Eagle Mindset is a motivational and self-development book built around the powerful symbolism of the eagle, a bird long associated with vision, strength, independence, and leadership. The introduction of the book sets the tone by presenting the eagle not merely as a creature of nature, but as a living metaphor for human potential and elevated thinking. It begins by emphasizing that the mindset determines destiny. The way individuals think, perceive challenges, and respond to obstacles ultimately shapes the trajectory of their lives. Just as the eagle flies higher than other birds and sees the world from a broader perspective, the introduction encourages readers to rise above mediocrity, short-term distractions, and limiting beliefs to gain clarity and purpose. The eagle's extraordinary vision symbolizes the importance of foresight and long-term planning, reminding readers that success requires the ability to see opportunities from a distance and prepare strategically rather than reacting impulsively. The introduction further explains that eagles do not fear storms. Instead, they use the storm winds to rise even higher, conserving energy while lesser birds seek shelter. This behavior becomes a central metaphor for resilience. Challenges, failures, and hardships are not barriers but platforms for growth when approached with the right attitude. The author uses this imagery to inspire readers to shift their perception of adversity, viewing it not as punishment or misfortune but as a necessary force that strengthens character and sharpens skills. Additionally, the introduction highlights the eagle's solitary nature, presenting independence as a critical trait for leadership and self-mastery. Eagles often fly alone, confident in their abilities, which symbolizes the importance of self-reliance, decision-making courage, and the willingness to stand apart from the crowd when pursuing meaningful goals. In a world where conformity is common and external validation often dictates choices, the book calls readers to cultivate inner conviction and a strong sense of identity. Another significant element introduced is the eagle process of renewal. As eagles age, they undergo a difficult transformation, breaking old beaks, shedding worn feathers, and enduring discomfort to regain strength and extend their lifespan. This powerful metaphor underscores the necessity of personal reinvention. Growth requires letting go of outdated habits, toxic relationships, negative thought patterns, and comfort zones that limit potential. The introduction makes it clear that transformation is not painless. It demands discipline, patience, and determination. However, those who endure the process emerge stronger, sharper, and more capable. Throughout the introduction, the reader is encouraged to examine their current mindset critically. Are they thinking ground-bound birds, limited by fear and routine, or like an eagle, driven by vision and courage? The author suggests that adopting an eagle mindset involves cultivating focus, maintaining emotional control, embracing continuous learning, and committing excellence rather than settling for average performance. The introduction also touches on leadership, noting that true leaders possess elevated perspectives. They anticipate change, remain calm under pressure, and inspire others through example rather than mere authority. By framing leadership through the eagle metaphor, the book positions mindset as the foundation of influence and impact. Moreover, the introduction stresses the importance of discipline and consistency. Eagles are precise hunters. They do not waste energy chasing every opportunity but instead observe patiently and strike with accuracy. This symbolizes the power of strategic action, knowing when to wait and when to act decisively. The reader is reminded that scattered effort leads to mediocrity, while concentrated effort guided by clear goals leads to mastery. The introduction ultimately serves as both a wake-up call and an invitation. A wake-up call to recognize the limitations imposed by fear, doubt, and complacency, and an invitation to embrace a higher standard of thinking and living. It challenges readers to elevate their standards, protect their vision, and develop the mental toughness required to thrive in competitive and uncertain environments. By using vivid imagery and relatable life parallels, the introduction establishes a motivational foundation for the chapters that follow, promising practical insights into resilience, focus, leadership, renewal, and purposeful living. It reinforces the idea that circumstances do not define success. Mindset does. Just as the eagle does not compete with sparrows for crumbs but soars above to claim its own domain, individuals who adopt an eagle's mindset refuse to limit themselves to ordinary expectations. Instead, they choose growth over comfort, courage over fear, and vision over distraction. In essence, the introduction of the eagle mindset is a compelling call to transformation, urging readers to rise above their current level of thinking and to embrace a disciplined, visionary, and resilient approach to life that enables them to soar beyond limitations and achieve lasting personal and professional fulfillment. Chapter 1. Seeing from Above. The eagle mindset centers on the transformative power of perspective and the critical role that vision plays in shaping personal and professional success. This chapter begins by drawing attention to the eagle's extraordinary ability to soar at great heights and view the landscape with remarkable clarity and precision. Unlike birds that remain close to the ground, reacting to immediate stimuli and limited surroundings, the eagle rises above and surveys vast territories, spotting opportunities and threats from miles away. This physical trait becomes a powerful metaphor for the kind of mental elevation human beings must cultivate if they desire meaningful growth and long-term achievement. Seeing from above represents the practice of stepping back from daily distractions, emotional reactions, and short-term pressures in order to assess life from a broader, more strategic viewpoint. The chapter emphasizes that many individuals remain trapped in ground-level thinking, where decisions are driven by impulse, fear, peer influence, or temporary circumstances. In contrast, adopting an elevated perspective allows one to detach from chaos and make decisions aligned with long-term goals and core values. The author explains that clarity of vision precedes success. Without a clear understanding of where one intends to go, even intense effort can lead to wasted energy. Just as the eagle does not flap aimlessly but glides with direction, individuals must define their destination before exerting effort. The chapter further elaborates that seeing from above requires intentional mental discipline. It involves asking reflective questions. What is the bigger picture? How will today's actions impact the next 5 or 10 years? Am I reacting emotionally or am I responding strategically? This higher-level thinking reduces unnecessary conflict, improves problem-solving, and prevents individuals from being overwhelmed by minor setbacks. The author also discusses how emotions can cloud judgment when one remains too close to a problem. By metaphorically rising above the situation, one gains objectivity, allowing clearer evaluation and wiser choices. Additionally, the chapter highlights the role of vision in leadership. Leaders who see from above anticipate trends, recognize patterns, and prepare their teams for upcoming challenges before they fully emerge. Such leaders are not consumed by immediate noise but remain anchored in long-term strategy. This visionary capacity fosters confidence among followers, as people are naturally drawn to those who exhibit clarity and direction. The chapter also connects elevated vision with goal setting, asserting that ambitious yet realistic goals act as the horizon toward which one flies. Without such goals, individuals drift, much like birds caught in random winds. Seeing from above also entails recognizing opportunities hidden within obstacles. When viewed from ground level, challenges appear overwhelming and insurmountable. However, from a higher vantage point, pathways around or through these challenges become visible. This shift in perception transforms adversity into a strategic stepping stone rather than a dead end. The author stresses that cultivating this perspective requires habits such as reflection, continuous learning, mentorship, and exposure to diverse experiences that expand understanding. Reading widely, engaging in thoughtful dialogue, and periodically withdrawing from routine tasks to reflect on progress are practical methods for strengthening elevated thinking. Moreover, the chapter underscores the importance of guarding one's vision against negativity and limiting beliefs. Just as an eagle protects its nest at high altitudes, individuals must safeguard their dreams from discouraging voices and self-doubt. Surrounding oneself with growth-oriented influences reinforces clarity and prevents vision from being diluted. The chapter also acknowledges that rising above is not effortless. It demands courage to step away from familiar comfort zones and examine life from unfamiliar angles. Yet, this courage yields confidence, because with broader vision comes greater preparedness. The author reinforces that seeing from above is not arrogance or detachment from reality. Rather, it is strategic awareness combined with humility and purpose. It is about understanding context, recognizing interconnected consequences, and aligning actions with a meaningful direction. The chapter concludes by reminding readers that elevation is both a mindset and a practice. It requires daily commitment to think beyond immediate gratification and to prioritize long-term fulfillment. Just as the eagle conserves energy by gliding on thermals rather than constantly flapping, individuals who operate from an elevated perspective conserve emotional and mental energy by avoiding unnecessary drama and focusing on what truly matters. In essence, Chapter 1 establishes that success begins with vision. When individuals learn to rise above confusion, detach from reactive thinking, and cultivate strategic foresight, they position themselves to navigate life with clarity, purpose, and confidence. Seeing from above is not merely about ambition. It is about perspective, discipline, and intentional living, enabling one to chart a course that transcends limitations and leads toward sustained growth and achievement. Chapter 2: Rising Above the Storm. The Eagle Mindset is a powerful exploration of resilience, emotional strength, and the ability to transform adversity into advantage by adopting a higher way of thinking. This chapter opens with one of the most striking metaphors of the entire book. Unlike most birds that flee from storms in fear, eagles intentionally fly directly into them. While other birds exhaust themselves trying to escape harsh winds and heavy rain, the eagle spreads its wings and uses the storm's powerful currents to lift itself higher into the sky, conserving energy and gaining altitude. This natural behavior becomes the central lesson of the chapter, that challenges, crises, failures, and hardships are not obstacles meant to break us, but forces that can elevate us if approached with the right mindset. The author emphasizes that storms in human life are inevitable. They take many forms such as financial struggles, career setbacks, personal loss, rejection, criticism, uncertainty, and emotional pain. What separates those who remain stuck from those who grow stronger is not the absence of storms, but the response to them. Rising above the storm requires a conscious refusal to be defined by circumstances and an intentional decision to rise mentally and emotionally instead of collapsing under pressure. The chapter explains that most people react to difficulties with fear, panic, or avoidance, which drains their energy and clouds their judgment, much like small birds flapping frantically against strong winds. In contrast, individuals with an eagle mindset pause, assess the situation and choose to face the storm with calmness and confidence, understanding that resistance alone will not bring growth. The author highlights that resilience is not about denying pain or pretending difficulties do not exist. Rather, it is about acknowledging reality while refusing to surrender to despair. Rising above the storm involves developing emotional control, mental toughness, and patience, recognizing that storms are temporary even when they feel overwhelming. The chapter also stresses the importance of perspective during adversity. When viewed from ground level, problems appear massive and suffocating, but when one rises above emotionally and mentally, those same problems shrink in scale and become manageable. This shift in perspective allows individuals to identify lessons, hidden opportunities, and new paths that would otherwise remain invisible. The author connects this idea to personal growth, stating that storms often expose weaknesses, reveal priorities, and force necessary change. Many breakthroughs, the chapter argues, are born in moments of discomfort, because pressure refines character and adversity sharpens focus. The chapter further discusses how fear is one of the greatest barriers to rising above the storm. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss, and fear of the unknown can paralyze individuals, keeping them grounded while opportunities pass overhead. The eagle mindset teaches that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. By entering the storm rather than avoiding it, individuals reclaim control over their response and reduce the storm's power over them. The author also emphasizes the role of faith, whether faith in oneself, in a purpose, or in a greater plan, as a stabilizing force during turbulent times. Faith provides the inner assurance needed to endure uncertainty without losing direction. Another key theme in this chapter is endurance. Just as storms do not last forever, neither do difficult seasons in life, but endurance determines who emerges stronger on the other side. The chapter encourages readers to develop habits that strengthen resilience, such as reflection, adaptability, problem-solving, and maintaining hope even when outcomes are unclear. It also warns against victim mentality, which keeps individuals trapped in blame and self-pity, preventing growth. Rising above the storm requires taking responsibility for one's attitude and actions, even when circumstances are unfair. The author highlights that leaders are often forged in storms, not comfort. Those who learn to remain calm, decisive, and focused during crisis naturally gain influence and trust. People look to those who can navigate uncertainty without panic, making resilience a defining leadership trait. The chapter also explores how repeated exposure to challenges builds strength over time, much like muscles grow through resistance. Each storm survived increases confidence, reinforcing the belief that future challenges can also be overcome. The author reminds readers that storms can serve as redirection, pushing individuals away from paths that no longer serve them and guiding them toward greater purpose. Toward the end of the chapter, the message becomes deeply motivational. Storms do not come to destroy you, they come to elevate you. When you rise instead of resisting, you discover inner strength you did not know you possess. The chapter concludes by reinforcing that rising above the storm is a daily mindset choice, not a one-time achievement. It requires continuous self-discipline, emotional awareness, and willingness to trust the process of growth. Just as the eagle emerges above the clouds into calm skies and clear sunlight, individuals who endure storms with courage and perspective eventually rise into clarity, strength, and renewed purpose. In essence, Chapter 2 teaches that adversity is not the enemy, fear is. When individuals adopt the eagle mindset, storms become instruments of elevation rather than sources of defeat, enabling them to rise higher, wiser, and stronger than before. Chapter 3: Focus and Precision. Eagle mindset delves deeply into the disciplined power of concentration, intentional action, and mental clarity as essential elements for achieving excellence. This chapter draws its central metaphor from the eagle's remarkable hunting ability, which depends not on speed alone but on intense focus and extraordinary precision. When an eagle hunts, it does not chase every movement below or waste energy on uncertain targets. Instead, it observes patiently from a great height, locks its vision onto a single objective, calculates the right moment, and then strikes with unwavering accuracy. The author uses this natural behavior to illustrate a critical life lesson. Success is rarely the result of scattered effort, but rather the outcome of focused intention directed toward a clearly defined goal. The chapter begins by addressing a common challenge of modern life: distraction. In a world overloaded with information, constant notifications, social pressures, and endless opportunities, many individuals suffer from divided attention, jumping from task to task without meaningful progress. This lack of focus leads to exhaustion, frustration, and mediocrity. The eagle mindset, however, demands clarity of priority. The chapter emphasizes that focus begins with knowing what truly matters and having the courage to say no to everything that does not align with one's purpose. Precision follows focus. Once a goal is defined, actions must be deliberate, strategic, and consistent. The author explains that precision is not about perfection, but about intentional effort applied in the right direction at the right time. Just as an eagle waits for the perfect moment to strike, individuals must learn patience, resisting the urge for impulsive action driven by emotion or pressure. The chapter further explores the relationship between focus and discipline, asserting that discipline is the bridge between vision and execution. Without discipline, focus fades and goals remain theoretical. The author discusses how disciplined routines, structured planning, and mental self-control sharpen precision over time, allowing individuals to execute tasks with greater efficiency and confidence. Another key concept in this chapter is mental filtering. Eagles possess the ability to block out irrelevant visual noise and concentrate solely on their target. Similarly, individuals must train their minds to filter out negativity, self-doubt, and external opinions that weaken concentration. The chapter encourages readers to cultivate environments that support focus, spaces free from constant interruption, relationships that reinforce clarity, and habits that promote deep work rather than shallow engagement. The author also connects focus and precision to mastery, arguing that excellence in any field, whether professional, academic, creative, or personal, requires sustained attention over time. Those who constantly shift direction never develop depth, while those who commit to focused practice gain expertise and authority. The chapter highlights that fear of missing out often causes people to pursue too many paths at once, diluting their effectiveness. The eagle mindset counters this by teaching selective pursuit, choosing one meaningful target and committing fully until the objective is achieved. Precision, the author explains, also involves self-awareness. Understanding one's strengths, limitations, and optimal timing enables better decision-making and prevents wasted effort. The chapter further addresses emotional precision, noting that emotional reactions often sabotage focus. Anger, anxiety, impatience, and insecurity scatter mental energy, while emotional regulation enhances clarity and control. By maintaining emotional balance, individuals can respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, increasing the accuracy of their actions. Leadership is another dimension explored in this chapter. Leaders with focus and precision provide clear direction, minimize confusion, and inspire confidence. When leaders lack focus, teams become fragmented and ineffective. However, leaders who demonstrate clarity of purpose and decisive action create alignment and momentum. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of review and adjustment. Precision improves through feedback and reflection. Just as an eagle adjusts its angle of mid-flight, individuals must regularly evaluate progress and refine strategies without losing sight of the goal. Toward the latter part of the chapter, the author addresses the cost of distraction, warning that unfocused effort not only wastes time but erodes self-belief. Repeatedly starting without finishing conditions the mind to expect failure. Focused completion, on the other hand, builds confidence and reinforces discipline. The chapter encourages readers to train their focus like a muscle, starting with small, deliberate commitments and gradually increasing intensity. It highlights practices such as goal visualization, time blocking, and mindful attention as tools for strengthening concentration. Ultimately, Chapter 3 reinforces that focus and precision are choices, not talents reserved for a few. Anyone willing to commit clarity, discipline, and intentional action can develop them. The chapter concludes by reminding readers that the eagle's power lies not in constant movement but in controlled, purposeful action. By adopting this mindset, individuals stop chasing distractions and begin channeling their energy toward meaningful outcomes. In essence, focus provides direction, precision ensures impact, and together they form the foundation of excellence. When individuals learn to see clearly, choose deliberately, and act decisively, they move beyond average performance and enter a state of purposeful mastery, soaring toward goals with confidence, efficiency, and unwavering intent. Chapter 4: Renewal and Transformation. Eagle Mindset is one of the most profound and introspective sections of the book, focusing on the necessity of change, self-renewal, and the courage required to let go of what no longer serves growth. This chapter is built around the powerful and widely known metaphor of the eagle's renewal process, a painful yet life-extending transformation that symbolizes the difficult but essential process of personal reinvention. As the eagle ages, its beak becomes overgrown and bent, its talons dull and its feathers heavy and worn, making survival increasingly difficult. Rather than accepting slow decline, the eagle retreats to a high, isolated place where it undergoes a grueling period of renewal, breaking off its old beak, waiting for a new one to grow, shedding worn feathers, and enduring discomfort to regain strength and vitality. The author uses this imagery to convey a central truth of human development. Lasting growth requires intentional change, and meaningful transformation often begins with discomfort. The chapter opens by confronting a common human tendency, the desire to hold on to familiar habits, beliefs, relationships, and identities even when they limit progress. Comfort, the author argues, can become a silent enemy of growth, trapping individuals in routines that feel safe but gradually drain potential. Renewal requires honest self-assessment, the willingness to recognize what has become outdated, and the courage to release it, even when the process feels painful or uncertain. The chapter emphasizes that transformation is not an overnight event but a deliberate, often solitary journey that demands patience and resilience. Just as the eagle withdraws from the noise of the world during renewal, individuals must sometimes step back from external pressures, expectations, and distractions to reflect deeply and realign with their purpose. This period of withdrawal is not a weakness or failure, but preparation. The author highlights that many people fear change because it threatens identity. Letting go of old patterns can feel like losing a part of oneself. However, the chapter reframes from this fear, suggesting that transformation is not about becoming someone else, but about becoming more of who one was meant to be. Another key theme explored is the shedding of mental and emotional burdens. Negative thought patterns, self-doubt, past failures, resentment, and fear often weigh individuals down, much like heavy feathers restrict an eagle's flight. Renewal involves confronting these internal barriers and consciously replacing them with empowering beliefs, emotional maturity, and self-trust. The chapter underscores that this internal work is often more challenging than external change, because it requires facing uncomfortable truths and taking responsibility for one's growth. Discipline plays a central role in renewal. The author explains that transformation demands consistent effort, choosing healthier habits, developing new skills, and maintaining self-awareness even when motivation fades. The chapter also addresses the role of pain in growth, stating that discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong, but an indication that change is occurring. Just as physical pain accompanies muscle growth, emotional and mental discomfort often signal progress. The author cautions readers against seeking growth without sacrifice, emphasizing that there is no true renewal without letting go of something old. The chapter further explores transformation in the context of purpose. Renewal is not changing for its own sake, but intentional evolution aligned with a higher vision. Without purpose, change becomes chaotic and unsustainable. The eagle renews itself not to return to the ground, but to soar again. Similarly, individuals must anchor transformation in a clear sense of direction. The chapter also discusses how renewal reshapes confidence. Those who endure the process of transformation emerge with deeper self-belief, not because life becomes easier, but because they trust their ability to adapt. This adaptability becomes a lifelong advantage in a constantly changing world. Leadership is another dimension addressed, as leaders who undergo personal renewal are better equipped to guide others through change. They lead with empathy, understanding that growth involves struggle. The chapter emphasizes that renewal is cyclical, not a one-time event. Throughout life, individuals will encounter moments that demand reinvention, new careers, relationships, responsibilities, and phases of identity. Resisting these moments leads to stagnation, while embracing them leads to evolution. Toward the end of the chapter, the author delivers a powerful message: renewal is a choice. No one can force transformation, it must be embraced voluntarily. The process requires courage to face solitude, humility to admit what must change, and faith to believe that something stronger will emerge. The chapter concludes by reinforcing that renewal is not about erasing the past but learning from it, refining oneself, and stepping into the next phase with clarity and strength. Like the eagle that emerges from renewal with sharper vision, stronger wings, and renewed power, individuals who commit to transformation rise with greater wisdom, resilience, and purpose. In essence, Chapter 4 teaches that growth demands release, strength is forged through discomfort, and true transformation is the gateway to sustained elevation and lasting fulfillment. Chapter 6: Strength through Discipline. Eagle Mindset emphasizes that true strength is not merely physical power or natural talent, but the result of consistent discipline, self-control, and unwavering commitment to purpose. This chapter builds upon the previous lessons of vision, resilience, focus, renewal, and leadership by highlighting the foundational force that sustains them all: discipline. The author once again draws inspiration from the eagle, a creature whose power in the sky is not accidental but developed through instinctive precision, patience, and controlled energy. Eagles do not waste effort flapping endlessly. They glide strategically, conserving strength and acting decisively only when necessary. This behavior illustrates that discipline is about managing energy wisely rather than exhausting oneself through impulsive or scattered actions. The chapter begins by redefining strength, arguing that many people mistake intensity for power, when steady, controlled effort produces far greater results over time. Discipline is presented as the quiet force behind every achievement, the invisible habit that transforms dreams into reality. Without discipline, vision remains fantasy, resilience weakens under pressure, focus dissolves into distraction, renewal becomes temporary, and leadership loses credibility. The author explains that discipline begins with daily choices, small, repeated actions that compound into long-term success. Waking up on time, maintaining routines, prioritizing responsibilities, controlling emotions, and following through on commitments may seem ordinary, yet they form the backbone of extraordinary results. The chapter also addresses the common resistance to discipline, noting that human nature often seeks comfort, instant gratification, and avoidance of discomfort. However, comfort without growth leads to stagnation. The Eagle Mindset challenges readers to embrace temporary discomfort in pursuit of lasting strength. The author highlights that discipline creates freedom rather than restriction. By mastering impulses, individuals gain control over their time, finances, health, relationships, and ambitions. This self-mastery becomes a source of confidence, as individuals no longer feel driven by mood or circumstance but guided by intention. The chapter further explores the relationship between discipline and consistency, explaining that sporadic effort rarely produces meaningful results. Strength is built through repetition, much like muscles grow stronger through consistent training rather than occasional exertion. The author emphasizes that discipline is especially crucial during moments of low motivation. Motivation is fleeting and influenced by emotions, while discipline remains steady regardless of feelings. Those who rely solely on motivation often quit when enthusiasm fades, but those grounded in discipline persist. The chapter also discusses emotional discipline, the ability to regulate reactions, maintain composure during conflict, and respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Emotional control strengthens relationships and enhances leadership credibility. In addition, the author connects discipline with integrity. Keeping promises, honoring commitments, and maintaining ethical standards require consistent self-control, particularly when shortcuts seem tempting. The eagle's strength is not chaotic, it is refined and purposeful, and the chapter encourages readers to refine their own character in the same way. The author also addresses the long-term rewards of disciplined living, explaining that while results may not be immediate, steady progress eventually compounds into remarkable transformation. Patience is therefore presented as a companion to discipline, reinforcing the idea that meaningful success is rarely instant. The chapter further explores discipline in the context of adversity, noting that during storms or setbacks, disciplined habits provide stability and direction. When emotions fluctuate, routines anchor progress. The author also warns against over-discipline that leads to rigidity, emphasizing balance and adaptability as essential complements. Discipline should empower growth, not suffocate creativity. Toward the latter part of the chapter, the message becomes deeply empowering. Strength is built in the unseen moments, the early mornings, the quiet practice, the repeated effort, and the private decisions to continue when no one is watching. These moments shape character more than public victories. The chapter concludes by reinforcing that discipline is a lifelong commitment, not a temporary phase. Just as the eagle maintains control and precision throughout its flight, individuals must consistently apply discipline in every season of life. Strength through discipline is not about domination over others but mastery over oneself. When individuals align their habits with their purpose, remain consistent in their effort and choose long-term growth over short-term comfort, they develop a resilient strength that withstands challenges and sustains success. In essence, Chapter 6 teaches that discipline is the engine of the eagle mindset, the steady force that transforms vision into achievement, adversity into growth, and potential into lasting power.